Okay, hello everybody. Let's get right into this review. So, Greenleaf. So we start out, we see Lady May. She's looking at brochures for divinity school, and Clara calls, and of course Lady May is ready to be really thankful, but put the brakes on that. Turns out that Clara is not giving them the money. So she didn't want to do it because it was a personal debt and because she didn't want to be involved with, a divorce in the church and all of that. And she told the bishop too, and he's like her money manager. He's just worried about getting all her money when she dies. And I'm like, well, you're trying to get her money while she's alive, so I don't know how you have any room to question anyone else's intention for Clara's money. So that is out. There is they gotta find something else to do, and so they start going back and forth, James and Lady May, about the state of finances. And she's saying, she's like, what did I get out of it? And he says Chanel and Tiffany. So they were spending some money on some quite expensive stuff. And, after they get done going back and forth about the money, she just tells him, you need to step down and let me take over. And he's like, no way. He tells her, when it's all over, you will be the one to exits the building. So he laid it right out, and that's what the attorney told her. A couple episodes back, the attorney told her, once you do this, there's no more, there's no more prestige. You're just out. So back at home, Lady May gets Zora up early for Bible study. And of course, Zora is not feeling it. Sophia tries to speak to her, and it's just like, yeah, it's not even happening. She's just really sullen. That's the best word I can think of. So now on to Charity. She's got oxycodone in her bag. She's just looking really stressed and out of it. And Grace comes up there to see her, and she asks her, okay, is Kevin coming up to pick up the baby? And she says yes, and he wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for you. And she's blaming Grace for her getting arrested, and Grace didn't even know what she was doing. She just called her and was trying to find out what was up with her, and now Charity is blaming her for getting arrested, which, I can see that Charity's having problems, but Charity, she did kind of put herself in a bad position when she just, took off like that and was not answering Kevin's calls. Granted, Kevin calling the police, I think that was like just making matters worse, but he did it, and despite Grace and Aaron saying that he shouldn't do that, he did it anyway. So Charity got arrested, and I guess there's this the custody agreement or whatever is being enforced very strictly now, because Charity seemed real angry. So we get to Rochelle and Tasha, and Rochelle is giving Tasha these papers for Jacob to sign. If he signs these, we're gonna have, basically they were gonna be able to get evidence of wrongdoing from them. And so Tasha, her demeanor for the past couple episodes has been, perhaps I shouldn't do this. And she still seems that way. So let's get to Lady May again. So she's at the church, and she's telling Connie, okay, well, I told the bishop that I've asked him to step aside. And Connie's like, that's good. Then she says, and then I will take over. And Connie's not for that. She's like, you know what, you're too involved and it's not going to work. And she really is, Lady May is too involved. It was her brother that, is paying off somebody at the IRS, and I don't really see how she's going to escape being involved in the whole IRS probe, because she was benefiting from the money coming into the church too, and again, it was her brother that was handling those finances and came up with that scheme with the IRS. Now, so James has called Percy over to talk to him about the IRS problem, and he's essentially just telling him, James, he's telling him, hit Rochelle up for the money. She's into cryptocurrency, it's new, and hit her up for the money. And so that's what James ends up doing a little later. So over at Triumph, Tasha has the papers that Rochelle gave her, and she comes in, she has them, and Jacob is in there with his son playing chess, and she's watching them, and she has some serious second thoughts because she doesn't have him sign them, and she makes up some excuse. Oh, the air conditioning vent in my office was something with that. I was gonna have somebody fix, and that was how she played it off. So she's having serious second thoughts about what she's doing, and those second thoughts held her off from doing what Rochelle wanted to do. It held her off for now. So Lady May, she's not pleased about not being recommended to take over the church. So she goes to Grace's office and accuses her of planning a coup. And Grace is like, no, I'm not trying to take anything. I want you and Daddy to fix the mess. And I don't want the church. And Lady May's like, good, because you'll never get it. And, and Grace is not trying to get the church. You can tell she's not trying to get the church, but Lady May just wants to assume the worst of her and make all these accusations toward her. That's just what Lady May's been doing since the first episode. She's had issues with Grace. Now, so back to Charity. So she hands the baby to Kevin, and then she takes the baby back and just tosses it on the floor. Now he knows something's wrong, but he doesn't say anything. And so she goes up to her room and starts crying. So she's having some serious problems right now, just serious. And as we're going to see later, we're going to see just how serious. So Tasha goes back and tells Rochelle that she didn't get the paper signed. And Rochelle doesn't get angry. She's just at that, it's like the bubbling under stage of anger. She's like, do you want to see Basie again? You need to do this. You need to get this done. And she said, the more money that we move, the more we have to bring down the Greenleafs. So Tasha, she's back on board, but she still seems reluctant. But she's back on board because when Rochelle mentioned Basie, that kind of brought her back, on board. But still with a lot of reluctance, you can tell. So, back at the church, Grace has a conversation with Connie, and she lays out what kind of church she wants. Grace wants a more welcoming church, She does not want to just shut people out like Connie wants the more traditional method, with Kevin, when they had that conversation last week, she mentioned, well, he doesn't come to church anymore. He can come to church, such and such. And Grace was like, yeah, as long as he pretends to be something he's not. So Grace is just, too progressive for this church, and she says, I want unconditional love and change. And Connie tells her, well, if we don't if we don't get this whole with this IRS stuff, if all this is not fixed, and your mother takes over, and she's got in her head she wants to take over, if it doesn't get fixed, this church is going to go under. There's going to be a for sale sign out front. So now we see James go to Rochelle, and he apologizes, and then so quickly after apologizing, he just says, now I need some advice on this IRS mess. And Rochelle is like, okay, so you come over here to the Jezebel after talking to me like you did. You come over to Jezebel and you're going to, ask for money. And she's like, go on now, go on. And she tells the security guard that if he comes here again, don't tell me. And this is part of her game. She's really has a game plan out now. She has a really, seems like she has a really well thought out game plan laid out. So we see Charity still just like all out of sorts, and she's taking more pills. So then we get back to Zora, and she's listening to some music. She has a CD player, and she's like, well, I looked through some of Faith's stuff, and I found out that about pre-Law and Order Ice-T. Excuse me, and I just thought that was so funny because, younger people, they're going to know him only from Law and Order, because he's been on there quite a while, so they're only going to know him from Law and Order. A lot of us that are older do know him from rapping. We know him as a rapper first. I just thought that was funny. So Sophia's trying to be nice to Zora. Zora's just still being in that, angry state. And Sophia has a severe pain in her side. And we saw that she had this earlier when she was out running. She had a pain. And Zora's all like, maybe you're pregnant. And that turns out that was an interesting thing she said, because what it ties into, it's like, wow, so Zora kind of inadvertently, said something that was very touchy, kind of cruel, but she doesn't know what's going to happen, but, it's sort of inadvertently touchy and cruel. So, Grace is over there with Darius, and they're having a conversation, and her phone rings, and she sees it's the Lady May, and she doesn't want to answer it, and Darius just kind of gives her a look like, you better answer it, and it's a good thing she did answer it, because it was about Sophia. So she's in the hospital, Sophia, and she needs surgery. And so out there in the waiting room, oh no, Charity is being so extra. She's like, I know what it's like to lose a daughter. If this thing goes south, I got your back. And it's like, okay, the rest of the family doesn't know where this is coming from, because Charity does not act like that. And Lady's like, please drink some water. Because she was just out of it, and she claimed she had a glass of wine, and that was supposed to be why she was acting like that, but we know it's the pills. And so Carissa has a little conversation with Zora. She's telling me, we didn't throw you out, because Zora's saying you threw me out the house. And she says, well, you can come back. You can come back home if you want to. And Zora is not really being conciliatory, so she just says something smart, and Charity sees it, and Charity's like, you really messed her up. And Carissa, which was funny, she didn't even get angry. She just looked over at you. Are you all right? Because this, Charity doesn't act like this. And so, over at the vending machine, Charity puts in some money, and her candy bar doesn't come down. And so that just sets off this whole sort of meltdown. She's hitting the machine, and Carissa's like, okay, here, let me give you some more money and you can get. No, I want what is coming to me. And you know that she's hitting the machine, but she's hitting out at, all of her actual problems, and she's hitting it, and, every, the family is seeing this, and finally she's like, you picked the wrong one, not today, honey, and she bashes the vending machine open. Her hand is bleeding. She's got the candy bar, and she's, eating the candy bar, and her hand is severely bleeding, and she's acting like she feels no pain. I guess so many painkillers, she was numb to it. And so they get her together. And they find out that she was on, Lady May says, she was on oxycodone. It was left over from her cesarean section. And so James tries to use this opportunity, Charity's in a bad place, Sophia's in the hospital, everything's a mess with the family, and he tries to use that as an excuse to get Lady May to call off the divorce. So she's not happy, and she's like, no. And Bishop once again tried to, maneuver to get his way, but it didn't work. I think he was sincere that the family does need to, the family dynamic did need to be more unified, but still he had his own reason for trying to get the divorce, use that to get the divorce called off. So they all go into the chapel and start praying, and they certainly do need it. Charity has calmed down. She goes and she holds Grace's hand, and so it was, that was a nice scene when they all sort of just prayed, and it was just like, it was like an acknowledgement of the problems they had. And, sometimes you do have to have those moments even to yourself where you just have to sit down and be like, I've got problems here, and I need to just accept and acknowledge that and start trying to work through them. So we find out from the doctor that Sophia had some kind of condition where they had to remove her ovaries. Wow, that was big right there, that kind of a storyline, and then Grace has to tell her, and she's like, of course she's visibly upset, she's crying and all that. She said, I'm not even ever going to be able to have children, because before she went into surgery, she was the anesthetic and sedative and stuff was kicking in. She was just saying, I can't wait to get married and have children and all of that. And so she is just like crestfallen, devastated. And she can't have children. So very sad. So after everything at the hospital is finished up, we see the next day that Tasha gets Jacob to sign the papers, and he's being so nice to her. He's telling her, she made that story up about the air conditioning vent or whatever being stuck, and he says, if you ever need anything, just call me directly. You are family. I think that's what he said, you are family. He touched her on the shoulder, and she's like, oh God, what am I doing? That's the way she was looking. So I don't know, maybe she'll pull the plug on this. She still doesn't have to give those papers to Rochelle or go through with what, she can just ditch them and whatever, but I don't know, we'll see. But I think she really likes Jacob, and she definitely does not want to hurt him or cause him to get into any trouble. So okay, I got a little out of order. I got a little out of Grace actually talked to Sophia after we saw the scene with Jacob, but sorry, I got a little out of order. I think that's how it went. Anyway, so James, he comes to Lady May's office and he says, I thought about what you said, and yes, you know, going through with the divorce is for the best. And James says, I've drafted this announcement for the church, and you can make adjustments to it. I trust your judgment. And he gives it to her, and she's like, please leave my office. Now, I'm like, okay. She said she wanted the divorce. Now that he has finally accepted that fate, she seems to be, you know, angry and upset about it. And I said, well, he is actually giving you what you said you wanted. And you're still mad. So I don't know what her thinking is there. I guess she wanted him to keep coming and begging, please, please, please don't do this. But finally he just said, he just said yeah. And he had also received a text from Rochelle. She's like, I was mad. I'm sorry. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know if she's going to give him the money. I don't think she'll give him the money, but who knows? It might be part of her grand plan. But so we'll see where the rest of this goes. I'm anxious to see how this IRS thing turns out. So that was the review. If you got something to say, leave a comment below, and as always, like and subscribe, and I will see you next review.